Hey folks, welcome back. And this is going to be a shortened interview of an interview I did with Lonnie from Call Me Lonnie. Shout out to Lonnie. Thank you so much for taking the time. Appreciate it. And we're talking Lonnie's loss of trust in Bilt and my loss in trust of Bilt, and like how that is leading to our personal conflicts with talking about Bilt and covering Bilt as content creators, leading off of the why I'm not going to be covering Bilt 1.0 until Bilt 1.0 becomes Bilt 2.0. I think that we flesh that out over a very lengthy interview. Just a couple quick points from the edits that didn't make it through. There comes a point where we're talking about the Mesa Homeowners Award credit card and their new transfer partners. I do highlight Uncle Luke as someone who could probably make use of those transfer partners like Air India and Vietnam Airways and things like that. I also highlighted Chad from Chad's Money Minutes as somebody who could do that. The portion with highlighting Chad got cut out, so my apologies, Chad. Totally didn't mean for that to happen, so just wanted to give you your flowers here at the beginning. But I deeply appreciate Ani taking the time where, like, we did this one last therapy session. We're kind of talking about Bilt for now. Not that we're never going to cover Bilt again, and I'm sure, like, if major news hit about Bilt, like an acquisition or something like that, I would probably take the time to talk about it, just because that would shift from Bilt 1.0 becoming 2.0 to, like, whatever the acquisition would be. So major news involving Bilt, the company, I will probably be still covering in the event of something like an acquisition. Until Bilt 2.0, I just don't have a lot of trust in them right now. I don't have a lot of faith's not the right word, but Lani and I have both lost trust in them. I don't see the value in covering transfer bonuses of maybe up to 100%. Yes, 100% for certain partners would be huge. That's going to get covered. I'm interested to see what their next steps are and to see what, if anything, they do. Because, again, they owe us nothing. These companies owe us nothing. But they were so different that it does feel like something fundamentally changed. And I don't know what I can't quite put a finger on it. So I'm not here to rehash things. I'm not here to say, like, oh, what can we do to make the Bilt card better? Like, put ideas out there. But we'll just have to wait for Bilt 2.0. So, again, a huge thank you to Lonnie for taking the time. Wanted to take this time, make sure that Chad got his flowers when Mesa combination comes up. And, yeah, hopefully you guys like this interview. The full unedited interview will be on my members only, is already live, has been live. And definitely take a look at that. But appreciate your time. Check out the pinned comment below for ways to support me outside of YouTube. Check out my YouTube membership if you'd like to support me here on YouTube. Check out the rest of the videos that I do. There'll be 2 videos at the end. I'm not going to do the pointy thing here because it doesn't make sense. But with that, thank you for watching, and here's the interview with Lonnie. Talk to you soon. Here with Lonnie from the Call Me Lonnie YouTube channel. Lonnie, it's you and me, which means we're probably talking about Bilt, and it's going to be a Bilt therapy session, isn't it?
I actually didn't warn everybody because it's behind your members only wall still.
Yep, that's true. No, actually, that went live at 5 o'clock.
Oh, okay. So yeah, everybody had their warning.
Yeah, y'all were warned. We said we were going to do this. We're here. We're doing this. Lonnie, Bilt.
Mm-hmm.
The card is still fine. The card is good. In comparison to the Sapphire Preferred, when the Sapphire Preferred doesn't have a 100,000 point welcome offer, I think you'd take the Bilt card over the Preferred without the welcome offer.
In most cases, people are taking the Bilt card without a welcome offer. I haven't heard of anyone, at least in the last 6 to 8 months, talk about the first 5 days, 5x on everything. So I don't even know if that's still around anymore. But for the most part, they didn't have a welcome offer anyway. And there's nothing wrong with that. They just never had a welcome offer.
Yeah, I see it from time to time when I go into the Bilt Rewards subreddit from here and there. So it's there, but it's not as everybody's getting it all the time. So, yeah, it doesn't really have a welcome offer, but we'll give you 5x on everything up to, I wanted to say it was 50,000 points, but they might have capped that already, for all we know.
When I received it, it was a $50,000 cap for your first 5 days, 5x on everything.
And so without a welcome offer and with the Sapphire Preferred handicapped without having a 100,000 point welcome offer, I think most folks would go for the Bilt card. Obviously, go get your Chase points if you haven't gotten your Chase points already. I think we can easily agree on that one. I don't like the
We can
Sapphire
100%
Preferred,
agree.
but go get your points.
Yeah, I totally agree. Comparing it to the Sapphire Preferred, Bilt and Sapphire Preferred were always in this head-to-head battle. Some people are like, it's Chase, it's great. It's a Sapphire card, it's great. Bilt, $0 annual fee card must not be as great. When you strip that away, they were like head-to-head, literally like head-to-head, and bonus categories, earning categories. Their travel portal redemptions are both at 1.25. They had very similar transfer partners. They had more in common than they had differentiated when it came to transfer partners. So it's like, why pay $95 when you can just get the Bilt card? Especially when, like you said, you take the 100K promotional offer off the table when it's just 60K. That 60K compared to that 60K for what used to be a couple $1,000 spend or $0 made it really a tight race. Unfortunately, I don't know if I can still say that. If someone were to ask me right now, would I still recommend the Bilt card over the Chase Sapphire Preferred? And I don't think I can as of right now. But with an asterisk, a lot of that's due to the 100K offer.
Yeah.
100K, go get it.
You can get it once every 4 years. Like, it makes sense to go get it. I don't like the Sapphire Preferred. I think the Sapphire Preferred should be a better card than it is. I'm going to tell you, go get your dang 100,000 points. Go get the 100,000 points.
My wife has the Sapphire Preferred because I have the reserve, and of course you can't hold both of them. So we're like, why don't we divide and conquer? She got her preferred last year when they did the 80K offer. So technically in my household, we carry both. I have experience with both.
And the Preferred will have a couple of other categories compared to the Bilt card, but the Bilt card also has cell phone protection. It also will have primary rental car coverage. Will also have, as you said, the 1.25 cent per point redemption in the travel portal. We're going to talk about their travel portal in a little bit because that's a new point of contention.
It's a straw that broke the camel's back for me.
Yeah. Yep. So this is a long-winded way of saying, like, the card, fundamentally, the card is okay. The program is still good.
Yes. And you have to separate those two things. You have the program, the card, and the people in the ivory tower in charge of both. One of these is not working. 2 out of 3 are, 1 of 3 is okay. 1 of 3 is not working. The one in the middle is okay. It used to be all 3 were great.
So breaking it down, the card is okay. We've got some things to nitpick about the program and the company.
Yes, I have lost trust, and that's not good from a consumer standpoint. I've said this a million times. I've said it in my own videos. I've said it in our podcast that these companies owe us nothing. They don't owe us an explanation.
Sure.
Unless you are a stockholder, shareholder, board member, CEO, executive, they don't owe you anything, including an explanation of some of the changes they're doing. We see it all the time. Look at all the refreshes that happened just recently, even with Chase. Why are you changing this now? Why are you giving us credits? They just said, all our annual fees are going up.
Yep.
Here's some credits. Take it or leave it. They owe us nothing. But Bilt came into the game differently, where they were more like the people's card, and I'll still call it that. Like, they were really at street level. They built a business, they built a reward program, they built a card around the street level, which is why it's earn points on rent. Something no other card was really doing. Yes, you could pay your credit card, depending on if your landlord or your apartment complex could take credit cards. There was always that processing fee. So they came in and was like, we want you to earn points on one of your largest monthly expenses. We're going to take that process fee away from you and give you a great way to use those points. We're not just going to give you points that you can't do anything with. We're going to allow you to transfer them to Hyatt, allow you to transfer them to Hilton, allow you to transfer them to United. Back when they started, they had American on there as well. They actually had a purpose and an exit strategy. You know how I feel about both of those, the earning and the redeeming side of points. And it would just made sense for us, the street level consumer. Slowly, they start chipping away at it a little bit each year until I don't know. I'm not trying to be negative on them. I want to see them win. I want to see them succeed. They still have a great product, but it wasn't the product themselves. And let me explain that. The product, the card, good card for what it's made on foundation. If you rent, it's a good card. If you travel, it's a good card. What they initially had was ridiculously awesome transfer bonuses that were coming at least 10 times a year. They also had ways to earn points outside of what any other card could do. Call it your rent day, where you can get double points on everything, formerly up to 10,000. They had Points Quest, where just for having fun, gamifying the points and miles game, you could earn 200, 500 points a month just by interacting with their application on your phone. It's one of the best built apps, ease of use wise. It really is. It is so seamless where you can, if you are not tech savvy whatsoever, you can find your way through their app pretty easily. It was very consumer focused. Now it's just not as more. Now, once again, not a bad card. I have it. They're opening up mortgages, so it's going to be able to work for me in a new way. Pay your rent, pay your roof, pay your mortgage, get your other 4 transactions out of the way. Just use it for what they say it's used for versus all these other perks, benefits that used to be there. As they start chipping them away, I'm not going to say people are like, oh, it's dead, it's over. But it's getting to that point. It's because of their lack of remaining at that street level for the consumer, and competition starting to rise up where I can't pay attention to you. Competition is doing what you're doing over here now, taking up the gaps that you guys had, the stuff that we like that you took away. Your competition's now doing it. I'm looking over here now.
There's no one doing rent just yet besides Bilt. In terms of competition, the Mesa Rewards platform is composed of folks who used to work at Bilt, Google, and Apple. They started their own rewards program focusing on homeownership first. And they're doing homeowner multipliers. They're doing mortgage, but mortgage isn't attached to the card. Like, you link your mortgage through the app, and as long as you spend $1,000 on the card, you'll get your mortgage points, 1 point per dollar. So it's a little bit different than the way that Bilt does it, where like Bilt will still make money in terms of running the processing fee and all of that, and like bill pay and all of that. Mesa's coming up.
Oh, you're 100% right. Especially on those rent payments, anyone can do them. The credit card game is a business, especially on the other side of the line where they're making the millions and billions of dollars, the corporate side of the fence, that side of the street. They want it, one, to implement sure, go pay your rent with your credit card. If Chase or Amex were to do that, it could be available to the public within less than 90 days. I'm not lying. The thing is that 3%, a lot of people thinking the 3% is coming from a credit card standpoint. No, that's a processing fee coming from your landlord, or else your landlord's going to eat that 3%. If you go to a grocery store and swipe your card, how many people are using those cards at a grocery store or at Costco or at a gas station where they're like, whatever, like we can eat that 3%. They're probably even getting it less than that because they're getting so many transactions from Chase and Amex and MasterCard, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But your apartment complex that only has 400 apartments in it is probably not willing to take that hit versus their maintenance cost to keep the P&L up, et cetera, et cetera. 3% across 440 or 400 apartments could really hit them, or just make them have to raise all your pricing up. That's where Bilt came in and said, yeah, we'll cover that 3% for you, which is great to see a company say, hey, we'll cover that part for you. Not something that they had to do, clearly, because no one else did it. Chase didn't do it. Amex doesn't do it. Citi doesn't do it. No one else did it. So they came in and they did it. But my point is, Amex would love for you to spend, I know the current average is like $1,500 to $2,500 apartments, depending on studio to 2-bedroom, wherever you're at in the country, geographical location. So Chase and Amex, they would love for you to spend an extra $1,500, $2,500 on your credit card every single month. Who's going to cover that 3%? And I think if someone just wants to not be so upset about it, get pig hurt over it, if Amex is like, yeah, we'll just waive that. It's curtains. We'd all start using our Amex card, especially if they're like, we'll give you a 2X on rent on your gold card. And everybody will have a gold card.
No, that is very true. In terms of that processing fee, though, when you use Bilt's processing and you swipe a non-card, gets that 3%. So Bilt is still doing pretty well on the financial side. It's just like everything else on the customer facing side feels like it went from a really nice party to the aftermath of a frat party.
Yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head. They'll still allow you to pay your rent through their portal with a card that's not theirs, but you do have to eat that 3%. They're going to charge you that 3%. You're not getting that waived like if you use your Bilt card. That's no different than what Chase and Amex are doing, but you're still getting Bilt points. You're getting 250 points from whatever card you're swiping, which is absolutely great and something that's not currently available anywhere else. Technically, it is. As long as you can pay your credit card, you can pay it with any credit card. But if another major issuer were to take that, I think that's not going to be a good day for Bilt.
Yeah, they're
Like
the
category on there. That's not going to be a good tomorrow for Bilt.
Amex isn't going to do it. If they wanted to, they would eat that as a loss leader for a while, and then I don't know what they'd do. Drop it from 2 to 1.5, or just drop it back to 1 after Bilt declares bankruptcy or something. The point system is still okay. There's Bilt Dining, all the neighborhood stuff with all of the gyms. There's the Walgreens partnership. There seems to be other ways you can redeem points with Citgo, Walmart, and some other retailers. It stands to reason that those retailers might, with the exception of Walmart, like Citgo could become a gas station where you'll get an extra Bilt point per dollar if you buy gas at Citgo. So you're going to see potentially those partnerships. I don't think you're going to see it with Walmart, but you might. And that might give people another reason to go to Walmart. The product is fine. The card is still good. It's the company, though. That I think is the crux of yours and my issue with it, and why I don't want to cover them right now. It feels like the company has lost its way. They were never particularly strong with customer service. And every time I'm on the Bilt Rewards subreddit, the chatbot is broken. Like, when you told me about the travel portal, I tried to reach out via the chatbot from the app, and it's still just disconnected. It still doesn't connect to the chatbot. Why? Why have this thing if it doesn't work? There's no official phone number publicly available to contact customer service. You have to go through 16 different levels between Wells Fargo and Bilt, and those two companies still bat between each other's customer service. Oh, I've got a problem with the Bilt card. That's Bilt's problem. I'm having trouble with my Wells Fargo connection to your credit card. That's Wells Fargo's problem. And they don't talk to each other, which is a problem. The only way that you can seemingly get halfway decent customer service from Bilt is like talking to them through Reddit. And it seems like Reddit is their cure-all for everything.
Reddit's not a customer service portal.
Yeah.
I had a friend actually text me this morning that he tried using the chatbot, and it basically was like, oh yeah, that feature's no longer available. And I'm like, that's actually the most straightforward answer I've ever got. You're not getting an explanation. And the question was exactly what you and I are probably about to get into, their travel portal. It was like, hey, is this like what happened here? And is this temporary? It was like, no, that feature is no longer available.
So on that, we've built a task on our podcast, on my individual channel. Don't know if you've done a Bilt video lately, but I feel like there's a new Bilt video coming from you at some point.
I love to do a new Bilt video. I just like to provide information. I try to keep my opinion out of it. I like to put my experiences in it, but I never like to make a video where it's always like, you need to go do this. You need to stop using your Bilt card. I don't want to tell anybody what to do with their finances or their wallet, but I am happy to provide my experience on why I'm making a shift or why I'm upset at a particular aspect, which is simply a little bit better. And I can't make a Bilt video where that would be useful to the community at the moment.
That's completely fair. Now, let's talk about the straw that broke the camel's back. Had a good travel portal, one that you had really good experiences with. I had some pretty good experiences with it. I booked a Bayou tour when we were in New Orleans. I took my girlfriend on a Bayou tour that I booked through the Bilt portal. It was nice. It was easy. It was clean. I picked up some more Bilt points through it. The attractions are gone, rental cars are gone.
Yep.
It's now just hotels. I don't know if the hotels have gotten better or if they're higher end hotels or anything like that. It's hotels, it's flights, and it's Blade.
Yep.
Because everything revolves around Blade, apparently.
I'm not mad that they have Blade in there. I haven't looked at the price. I got my one free ride when I was a platinum member. I haven't stepped foot back on the island of Manhattan since that flight. And I've said it before, even on Anthony Venture's channel. If I'm back in Manhattan, this is how I want to get to the airport. Blade is great. I think the price was like $199. I don't know how many points it may cost, but as for a flight experience, it was absolutely fun. Don't look at the news about that particular port and helicopters. It was not Blade.
No, it wasn't. It was a sightseeing.
I'm pretty sure they want their logo out of all those news pictures right now.
The portal change, it feels like I've had issues with their communication, and I understand that they owe us nothing. And it is my idealism of when companies are making big changes, they should talk about them and they should bring that forward. Crazy, I know. But like this feels different than like the 3-point font.
Yes.
You mentioned with the rent day change. This feels different.
Was no font.
Yeah, this was no font. It was worth more than the ink it was printed on. This change feels worse than usual because it is, but it's another in a long string since that email that has just continued to erode trust. I can't talk about this company positively because everything that they do is like stepping on a landmine to me. And I don't know if you realize this.
From a creator standpoint, and I'm not that large of a creator. I don't even have 10,000 subscribers right now. So I won't consider myself a large creator in any sense. But there is a level of responsibility when you're talking about a product or a brand, especially saying, hey, this is something I want you to consider. Yes, still go do your own research, but this is something that I recommend. With me as a creator, and like I said, I'm just a guy on the internet. People are looking for information that I can provide. And so there is a responsibility, at least how I approach my channel and the information that I put out. No, I can't make a video right now because I don't have that trust, or to say it's still a decent card, but be aware they could change something again. If you look at my other Bilt videos, I don't know what's left that's still available today. The stuff that I talked about in that video, or this is something you should 100% recommend. Most of the stuff that and reasons why I made those videos has been eroded. Now, granted, I also have a disclaimer that information was correct at time of posting. Don't come at me in the comments, y'all, because a lot of that stuff's over 6-8 months, a year old now. But that's also why I'm not doing another one right now. If I'm going to do it, I might as well just make a short. Yo, if you rent, go get the Bilt card. Click. Swipe next video. Like,
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird, I don't know that I've ever seen something like this where, you know, in the last 8 months, since August, like every step they could have taken has been the wrong step, seemingly, like from a customer side. Now, I understand that
I would
like
say not just a customer side, a customer satisfaction side.
Yes. From a customer satisfaction side, everything has just gone.
But the rub that I have, the thing that gets me about them is, one, I have so much respect for them. Like I had mentioned, they were the people's card. They were street level. They were down there in the trenches with the rest of us. We have our daily 9-to-5 grind, bills, but aspirational goals to hop on a plane maybe once or twice a year. They were right there with us. And all the stuff that differentiated them from every other card out there, the rent day, the 10K points, their travel portal, their entire ecosystem, slowly just started chipping away, to the point where, getting back to the travel portal, I'd never actually used my Bilt points for anything else. I never transferred them out to a partner. I've never booked a flight using them. I've never booked a hotel using them. Every time I've redeemed my Bilt points was from that activities tab, no matter where I was at in the world. Private tour of the Sagrada Familia in Barcelona, booked it with Bilt points. When I decided, Matt, you know this, because at the end of last year, I was on a flight every 2 weeks. I was so busy with work, personal trips, weddings, all this other stuff. I came home and I just wanted to be with my boy. It was like, let's go to Legoland this weekend. We flew down to Legoland. I got tickets for Legoland with Bilt. Then we drove up to Disneyland in Anaheim. You could bought those tickets with Bilt. got an upcoming Disney World trip later this year, bought those tickets with Bilt. And so that was my exit strategy for my Bilt points. It's like whenever I want to go do a tour or something, a weekend trip, whatnot, I am a roller coaster junkie. So that type of stuff is normal for me. Where are we at right now? Okay, there's Universal. Is there a Disney? Is there a NASA, a Space Center? All that stuff. I bought all that stuff with Bilt points at 1.25 directly out of the travel portal. Sorry, my dog just walked in my office. And it's gone. It's not available. Now, the problem is that it's not available. It's how I found out it's not available. And I found out the hard way because I wanted to book another experience with one of my best friends. Yo, I got us covered. I got Bilt points to burn.
Yep.
Hold on. It's not available. Where'd it go? What happened? More importantly, where was that communication?
Yep.
Like the lack of communication. And we've both said this. Their communication needs a Band-Aid. Some gauze maybe for a while. And it used to be great. It used to communicate everything. I had the VP of travel, Rich Kerr, come to my small channel and do an interview. Like they're communicating, and he drops so much stuff that's available now. He's the one that broke on my channel. He broke mortgages are coming. I didn't ask him for that. He did that. Their communication was 110%. And now it's not necessarily at that level anymore. It's not the same. Going back to the 3-point font. We're doing all of this stuff and we're going to take 90% of your rent day away from you.
Yep.
That wasn't great. Then they did it again. And now, they didn't even do it. They just, bye. And we found out the hard way. And the thing is, I would be less upset if I had known. I'm not going to lie. I am okay to accept that it's not there. But if you were to say it's going to end on Tuesday, at least I know I had till Tuesday to burn as many points as possible. You know, when there's a promotion on sign-up bonuses, and there's a lot of them right now. But in most cases, I know Amex does it, says, here's the offer. The last day you can get it is May 15th.
Yep.
And that's all I really asked for. But when you take that away, when you take communications away, yes, once again, you owe me nothing. So I can't really be upset because they owe me nothing as a consumer. But the fact that you don't want to communicate to me as a consumer, that's where my trust gets eroded. And that's why I feel the way that I do right now. Now, could they get all of this back easily? Yes, it will take time. It's like a bad relationship. In the business world, a bad stripper can ruin your favorite song. Like, you just always, every time you hear that song, you just always remember it. I don't know how many songs I got left with Bilt.
That's fair. That is not quite the line I would ever expect you to say, but also that is totally a line I would expect you to say.
It makes 100%. There's not a single person that's watching this right now. I know exactly what he means by that.
Having a 97% male audience, yes. So
every time Rihanna song comes on,
not something I've necessarily experienced, but we can't all be blessed that way. To that end, what do you need to see from Bilt to start trusting them?
So great question. The one thing that really made me an advocate for Bilt in the first place was how different they were. They don't owe me anything. I'm not expecting a free dollar. I'm not expecting them to scratch my back. I want them to be the disruptor of the credit card space as they initially came out the gate to be. Be the disruptor again. But the thing is, that part's the easy part. The hard part of earning the trust, getting back to your question, is how are you going to communicate it? And how are you going to ensure that you're not going to give us something that we love and then just strip it away later? I want consistency as well as commitment, if that makes sense.
One of the things Spathco mentioned on the video I published today, April 11th, I'm done covering, like I can't cover Bilt 1.0 anymore, was Chase had a similar thing happen when they bought CX Loyalty, now powering their portal. They took things away and then they eventually put it back. But if I remember correctly, like they had at least announced the CX Loyalty acquisition. And so you had an idea of, okay, whatever their portal was going to go away because they were going to implement their own thing and keep more of the profit from the sales. They'd have to pay whether it was Booking or Expedia or whoever. that company would get a cut. Now Chase is going to keep everything in house. We didn't even have any like tea leaves that this was going to change.
No.
Like, and I think that's
my crystal ball is broken. My crystal ball is broken.
So I think that's why it hits a little bit different. But I'm worried about Bilt the company, because like they're not announcing what happens if and when they lose Hyatt, if and when they lose United, because those contracts are coming up.
Right. And like I said, the thing that really got them to where they are, or at least out of the gate, fast and strong, was their differentiation. Yeah. And the more they become the same as everyone else, how can I recommend you over a Sapphire Preferred that's giving away 100K points and does everything that you do now and a little bit more? Because now I can justify $95. Yes, with that promotion, as long as it stays 100K points, I can justify someone spending $95 a year, at least for that first year right now.
Yep.
Chase cards come with credits and things like that. But the simple fact of a $0 annual fee card with none of the hassle and all of these rewards and perks, that's why it was so easy to be like, yo, don't get the CSP, go get a Bilt card. And you're not changing anything. You want to transfer your points out? I guarantee you can still transfer your points out. You want to book in a travel portal, get 1.25, you can still book in a travel portal and get 1.25. You can actually get more out of their travel portal at 1.25. You want to make it easy to earn points? I'm in love with getting as many points as possible. Another reason why I advocated for them so early on, because I was able to get these high value points easy. Gone. It's still there, but it's not there like it used to be. The thing that worries me the most is now that word is out on the street, people enjoy paying their rent and getting points for it. People liked activities, the activities that were available in the travel portals. You've already put it out there that these are wins. Now, I don't know why you got rid of it. Once again, that's not catered to us. Now, I'm not saying that negatively. We don't know. I don't work for Bilt. You don't work for Bilt. Their business decisions are not privy to us unless you're a shareholder with voting shares. You know what I mean? Yeah. But this stuff worked and this stuff resonated. What happens when a competitor that's been in the game way longer, has way more billions of dollars, decides to steal your winning formula? Bits and pieces of it. And this is where the concern starts, because this is exactly what's happening right now. Yes, you could book activities and events with your Chase points. Go to your Chase UR travel portal. I have a Sapphire Reserve. Activities, literally called activities tab, is brand spanking new, shiny and clean, like it came fresh off the lot. And guess what's in there? Tours, excursions, universal tickets. I already see this stuff coming. It's already on the way.
Yeah.
And I get it at 1.5 now. So even if you bring it back, if I want to go to Universal, I'm not doing it through the Bilt travel portal. Even if you bring it back, why? I'm going to get the same thing for less points now, because Sapphire Reserve. This is where the problem lies with them. And this is what makes me concerned about their future. Like I said, I'm not mad at them. Still a great card. They need to figure out what's happening on the business side. That's why we're having these conversations. Watches YouTube videos. I know they do. Watch this one. I'm completely happy sending an email out. I know people that work at Bilt from my time as a YouTube creator. I send them emails all the time. Hey, can I ask you a question? Is this what's happening here? As a consumer and as a creator, I reach out to the ones I've built relationships with. Yeah. And it hurts to be like, WTF, man. Like, I understand you didn't put it out on the internet, but you couldn't have told me. I thought we were friends.
Email to members, email to...
Yeah, the other last thing is, as you had mentioned with 1.0.2.0, I found it very refreshing when they sent out the survey to cardholders on, here's Bilt 2.0, here's what we're thinking of. Tell us your opinions. How long ago was that? Feedback on what you guys are thinking. Can we help you guys out with that? Like, we're the ones that are going to end up ultimately be using the card. That's two people having an argument on how to pronounce your name and just don't come ask you. Like, why are you guys having the conversation about what's best for cardholders without the cardholders? Yes, you sent out the survey, but where's the follow-up? And it's those little bitty things that are making me slightly concerned. Now, 100%, I'm keeping my eye on them, but you're not going to hear me talk about it. I'm not going to put a whole bunch of effort into it. If I have a major purchase that I can get on rent day and get my 5 transactions through the rest of my statement period, yes, I'm still going to 100% do that. When the mortgages are officially available, I'll be back on mortgage plus my whatever amount of transactions I need to do. 100%. I'm not getting rid of my Bilt card. Points are still valuable. And as long as they got United, Hilton, Hyatt, Marriott, IHG, there it is.
You're forgetting that one.
You're right. You're right. They still have value to me. But
Now,
my points were normally for those activities. That's the straw that broke my back, because now those Bilt points don't have an exit strategy. Yes, I can just transfer them out, but not in the same way as they did before.
yeah, but you don't need any more United miles. Actually, you might.
I'm sitting almost 400,000 right now. I need to book some stuff.
Now, speaking of competitors, I did bring up Mesa earlier. If Mesa starts getting interesting partners, now their first set of partners were not necessarily well known, but they're getting into the transfer partnership game. Now, their first set of partners were Royal Thai, which I've mistakenly put in One World and not Star Alliance. They've got Air India, another Star Alliance carrier. They've got Finnair. They've got Haihan Airways from China, and they've got Vietnam Airways from SkyTeam. Now, I know that's going to take Uncle Luke to figure out like the best sweet spots for those points. Uncle Luke will get that figured out, right? But let's say they start adding more domestic partners.
Yeah.
And their value prop starts shooting up. What's to stop folks? What's to stop us from starting to recommend Mesa over Bilt in time, assuming they get this right?
Based on the information currently out there about Mesa, one, their earnings categories, the way that they're approaching it is legit. I'm on board for it. The thing that my turn off on Mesa is exactly what you say, those particular transfer partners and the amount of work it would take to actually end up using them. It's one of the reasons why I don't have Citi or a Capital One card. I'd have to add an extra step to actually get to the redeeming side of how I wanted to use them. Why? When I can just add those same points to a card that I already have. But going to your question, if Mesa were to have more recognizable, easy access transfer partners, the domestic ones, let's just say some of the major 4 hotels, 1 or 2 of the major 3, I'll throw Southwest in there, 4 airlines here in the US, I think it will 100% be a game changer. And it can only be 1 hotel, 1 airline. The thing about that is you have to remember that the majority of people that have the cards aren't in the community like we are. They're not enthusiasts. Right. They're not digging in it the same way that we are. I know we talked about this in my members only Monday video. That will be, I don't know when this is going live, but on Monday, the 14th, when that one goes live, we had talked about that specifically. But for the majority of people that only know Simple, I want to book United, I go to United. When I want to book American, I go to American. I don't know what a backdoor booking is. I don't know that I can transfer points from this airline and actually use them for that airline. That group of people is much larger than us as a community. If Mesa were to get some recognizable brands that facilitate the redemption side, that's going to be trouble.
Yeah. In that video, we talked about some ways that Bilt could maybe win some hearts back, especially on earnings and status. But more on the company side, I just want better customer service and communication. I understand that they owe us nothing, but it can't be Richard Kerr jumping on Reddit to put out a fire they started because they couldn't communicate things properly.
The snake eating its own tail.
Exactly. Like, I didn't even talk about the bill pay fiasco that happened when they launched. This is going to set things up for mortgage going downstream from it. The bill pay launch was a disaster. The bill pay support has not been particularly good. I get sensationalized stuff because my source of truth on this right now is the Bilt Rewards Reddit. But I don't have anywhere else to really go to see, things are working the way they intend. Like, all I see is the horror stories. But it took them a week to put out a Vimeo about how to use bill pay. And I understand that, like, most people won't watch the Vimeo. Like, how much more trust in Bilt would you have if Bilt just put together a YouTube channel?
They have a YouTube channel, actually.
Oh, really?
It's a Bilt Rewards YouTube channel. I don't know how much they put out there anymore, but there is a Bilt Rewards YouTube channel. But that just goes back to where there could be a concern and back to communications itself, and maybe even from a finance side. because customer service costs money. Either you hire a customer service team to answer the phones, or you outsource it. And I'm not going to say it's difficult to do that. I don't know what at scale or how much money they're working with or what their budgets are to do it. But there's nothing wrong with a chatbot. But go look at some of the other chatbots out there. I'm just going to use Amex because I love their chatbot. I type in what I'm looking for. It tries to handle it, depending on the topic. It tries to handle it itself. Or it's, here's an agent, here's somebody. And I never had to make a phone call. At least I can correspond with somebody. So it's okay to have a chatbot, but somewhere we need a real person. Once again, that could be a red flag of concern. How come we can't get in contact with you? How am I supposed to handle an issue? I've had a fraud case on my Bilt card. Lots of people have had a fraud case on their Bilt card. I got more than one Bilt card in my wallet because the first one, they called me, Wells Fargo called me like, yo, we just had this happen. We're going to send you another card. Great. Who do I call? Do I call Bilt first? Because I've been in that scenario. Do I call Bilt first? And they're like, no, call Wells Fargo. Where's the communication on how to handle this situation? Where's the communication saying we're protecting your information and that this won't happen again? That's a cause for concern for me.
It seems like they got through that, but they're always stumbling the next major headache that they have. There was the fraud things. Then things were going pretty good for a while. Then they lost American Airlines, then decided to do the Bilt rent day update and bill pay. Now just removing their travel portal out of thin air. It's one thing after another. And every time it's just, let's go on Reddit and try and hammer everything out, because they know that if they're on Reddit, that Doctor of Credit's going to pick them up, that Danny the Duger will pick them up. That's their press source. That's their press resource, but it's not good.
I wouldn't say it's a business model, but the simple fact of they jump into the middle of the conversation. Once again, Reddit is literal street level. Yeah. It's where the people are talking. It's where they're being honest about their gripes, complaints, concerns, wins, satisfactions. And the fact that I commend Richard Kerr. I don't know how obviously he's a busy man, but
dude's busy. Yeah, I get it.
He jumps in there pretty late at night. And the fact that he will put himself in the middle of the trenches with the community to address those things, to try to put out those flames, iron out the wrinkles, I have to commend that. But that's not a business model, not in my opinion.
That is commendable when you are, and they're still a relatively new company, but that is something you do when you're coming out of stealth and you're in that first wave of growth, right? That is something cool you want to see in that first wave of growth. Bilt is 6 years old at this point.
I'd expect more. Even though they're still new, I'd still expect more for the amount of time they've been in. And the amount of history and education of the credit card space they've entered. It wasn't like, hey, let's make a credit card. You clearly had time to think about what you were doing.
Especially when they bring in Ken Chenault.
If I wanted to open up a wholesale business, I'm going to go stop at a couple of Sam's and Costco's. Just be aware and learn from the history of what they've done. Whatever day you start with, just be aware, whatever it is could change. And it could literally change tomorrow, with or without communication.
Yeah.
That is safe for me to say.
Yep. With that, Lonnie, I think it's time to end this session. We're coming up on an hour and I don't have another $160. I think we meandered our way around a bunch of things, but I do think this was helpful. I'll say it's helpful for me. Hopefully it was helpful for you. And I think the next time we can realistically talk about Bilt is going to be the launch of Bilt 2.0. And by then, maybe more of our grievances will have been addressed.
Yeah, 100%. Like I said, I'm rooting for them. They have been the disruptor, the differentiator, and this credit card space in general needs it. I want to see them come back in that way. I don't have a gripe with them. I'm slightly perturbed, but I'm not mad. They're not dead. But
yeah,
I need Superman. I don't need Clark Kent.
Yeah, and I think that's a lot of where I was coming from with I just can't keep covering Bilt 1.0. I'm not upset. I am very disappointed, though. It's just one of those things where they could be so much better.
They were better, and they can be better again. But right now, that's not where they're at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lonnie, everyone should check out Call Me Lonnie if you haven't already. I don't know what you're doing. Check us both out on the Stack Your Points podcast. We record on Monday nights. We cause RJ and Tariq massive headaches from time to time. Check us out on
to shut up.
Check us out on Stack Your Points. Lonnie, thank you so much for your time. I deeply appreciate you taking the time, and let's hope that Bilt does better. I think better is all we can ask for right now.
Nothing wrong with better.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir.